All right, recording in progress. We will be taking a break around 2:30, 3 o'clock. Um, so I've introduced a new thing because I'm looking at it again, and we have less than half the class with cameras on. And we have even less whenever it comes to participation. So I know it's new. I know the first day was new. We're all kind of getting to know each other. There might be some shyness, but I'm going to start adding points to people that participate and keep their camera on. Because the one thing I brought up in the first day for the new people, I'm trying to teach you to get used to real world scenarios. When you have a job, when you're at an agency, when you're at a company, you are required to have your camera on. This isn't like a new thing. This isn't just Paul Drohan trying to instill something that is a little ridiculous. If you're in an environment, if you're at home and you're like, I don't want people to see my background, blur your background or put a fake background back there. I don't care. But class participation in cameras is a real world expectation. And I'm trying to get you ready for the real world because I want all of you to be successful and have jobs. Okay? So we have our chat or meeting chat here. This is for comments, questions, and shares. Also, you can sort of raise your hand. Somebody showed us last time how you raise your hand. Can you show us another sort of an example of raising your hand? Somebody? Oh, there you go, virtually. Carl, a couple of people raised their hand. Yes, and physically, Melinda, you can raise your hand too. Thank you, everyone. That's how you can raise your hand in Zoom. That's great. And if for some reason I didn't see it, then just speak up. I don't mind being interrupted. Okay, it's not a big deal. All right, so the outline for today, we're going to recap the first lecture. Not going to go through the whole thing, just some key points. Okay, so the introduction to web design. I'm also going to share some student alumni from City College of Where Are They Now? I hope that this is going to inspire people today. We're also going to talk about the teams, and then we're going to get into the lecture, and then we're going to get into the assignments. Okay? Good? Yeah? Cool? Cool, cool. Cool for me. All right. Introduction to web design. This is just a quick little recap. I talked about my chair metaphor. And for the new people, the reason why I show this particular chair is this chair was designed by Charles and Ray Eames. It is the outdoor wire chair. And a chair serves one main purpose: to sit in it. Real simple function. You need to be able to sit in a chair. But the other one is form. If it can transcend just function, there's a lot of chairs you can sit in that are somewhat comfortable and not comfortable, but are hideous to look at, like the Lazy Boy. It's super comfortable. You could probably sleep in it, but come on, the Lazy Boy is probably one of the ugliest things out there. So I always use this metaphor for the new people: form and function. This particular chair is a very iconic chair in design. It has been celebrated in art museums, design museums, all over. Form and function should be one, joined in a spiritual union. Frank Lloyd Wright said this. If you're not sure who Frank Lloyd Wright is one of the most famous American architects. So objectives, these are things that we covered in our first lecture. Web design, examine current design standards and conventions for websites and build an audience-specific interaction experience. Our next objective is information architecture, analyze site structure and flow to assess best practices for an ideal user experience. Our outcomes. So our outcomes are: analyze strategies for creative, effective website content, organize and prepare website components, plan and compose responsive website layouts, compose websites with a focus on accessibility, and finally, Do great work and have fun. I want to keep emphasizing that. I want us to have fun. I want you to make friends in this class. I'm sure you will. You know, you'll hopefully make friends and then you'll move on to another class and you guys will be friends and you may end up graduating together. And who knows, you might even have jobs together. You never know what your future has in store. What is web design? I mentioned that this particular image here is such a great example of an interactive designer or designer in general. A good designer has a lot of tools under their belt. A good designer may have tools that they'll never ever touch in their entire career, but they at least know how to use it. So it's really important. Web design is the process of creating the visual layout, user interface, and overall aesthetic of a website. It includes planning, conceptualizing, and organizing content, while also considering usability, accessibility, responsiveness, and development. We also talked about the types of websites, marketing and corporate, publishing and information, portfolios, e-commerce, and web applications. And then we talked about goals of a website, usability, responsiveness, accessibility, visually appealing, consistent, engaging, and aligned with project goals. So for the new people, this site that I had linked in the other lecture here, this APX Hockey, APX-Hockey, is a site that I just recently did and launched. And I did everything on this site. And I just wanted to share this because it is fresh. And this particular site represents a lot of achievements. And not just achievements for myself, but I think achievements for students that I'm teaching that you can do a lot by yourself. This site is one of the largest sites I particularly have seen built on Squarespace. It's a fully custom Squarespace site. I did everything on here, designed it, created custom modules and templates and all that. So it's something that I'm pretty proud of, but I think it's also a great example to learn from. And also, I mentioned in the first class, I do like to teach with real world examples. You're not going to necessarily, I mean, you'll learn, but you're going to learn more with real world examples versus hypothetical things out there. So I like to show also things that I've particularly done because I can sort of walk you through my process. I can't really walk you through, a website that I didn't do. And I've done a lot of websites, so it's just easier for me to kind of represent or show things. And yes, I forgot who said it last time. I guess I do like a lot of red and black. So, but I didn't pick the red in this particular site, like I said. Thank you, Joshua. You said that's an awesome website design. I love that sort of clean style that still allows for elements to pop out. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you were just talking about this one, right? Yeah, because you just said it. We also talked about AI. So AI is a hot topic in everybody's life these days, whether or not it touches you in your emails, it touches, your daily life and social media, or it just comes up in whatever. AI is here. It's integrated. It continues to be integrated in our life. And I just saw a new movie. I don't want to give up the plot, but it's called Companion. If you like to see movies, it was way better than what I thought it was going to be. I mean, there's some pretty heavy topics in it, but there's some really interesting, thought-provoking AI topics in that movie. So if you like to see movies, yes, Donna, right? I said it right? Not Dana, but Donna. Donna, I've been wanting to watch it. Yeah, it was pretty good. My wife and I liked it a lot. So anyways, there's a lot of AI tools out there that I mentioned in our first lecture, and I use AI a lot. All of these images here that you're seeing are AI generated from Midjourney. And the one up at the top left, I was paid for to do. So a German company reached out to me and they asked me if I could create a cover for their magazine with AI. And I did it. I also recently got hired by a San Diego agency called Parker White, and they asked me if I could help them generate an image for an ad during the Super Bowl. Not a ad, in the Super Bowl, but like a print ad. And I created a ad, like the background for this print ad for this magazine. I also got hired by Mall of America. Has anybody ever heard of Mall of America in Minneapolis? Yeah, like the world's largest mall, right? I got hired in 2023 because they were our client at Folklore, which was the agency. Yeah, the one with the Nickelodeon theme park. That's right, Ezekiel. It's huge. So Mall of America was my client at Folklore, and the head of like our client relations was seeing all the AI stuff I was doing. So he reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, Paul, like I really like what you're doing, and we have this fall fashion show every year. That's a big, big deal for our mall." And we do like this fall fashion show to highlight, the new fall releases. He goes, "I'd love to like work with you to concept a new theme. And also, do you think we could do something that's AI related?" I go, "Yeah, I'm sure we can." We had we quoted it. It was an awesome budget. We got paid, I would say around 80 grand to do this, to theme out and to create all of these AI assets for the actual physical show. And we did a custom photo shoot of real models. And what we did was, and I'll share it with you guys later on. I directed the photo shoot of real models, and we created AI backgrounds, and we imposed the photo shoot, the real models, onto AI backgrounds. And then at the real fall fashion show, they used our AI backgrounds in the back of the fashion show when they were doing the walk, like the runway stuff. So I'm just saying, I know, some people are hesitant, but I've already gotten several jobs using AI, and it's already been very successful for me. So don't be shy. All right, so this is fun. Where are they now? I thought about this actually this morning when my wife and I were sitting down talking, having our cup of coffee with her dog at about 6:30 this morning. And we were talking about something, and I was like, you know what? I think it's really important to show what can be done and the possibilities that are achievable through hard work, through participation, through asking questions, by doing things that you might feel uncomfortable doing, and never giving up. And I love this photo. It's actually the guy Giovanni right there. This was the last day of our class of doing our big presentation. And you would think, you might go, "Paul, like, why are you showing this image? He's sleeping." Yeah, he was. He was completely exhausted and he fell asleep after he did his presentation. He had stayed up for 3 days to get his work done. And he completely passed out in the back of the class. And I took a photo of him, and I always keep it. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I was not upset at him because he worked so hard and his presentation was so buttoned up. And now look at where he's at now. He was a senior digital designer at Nike. Now he has two companies that he started, and he left Nike about a year ago. And he's got two companies that he started, and I gave him his first job at my agency at Miram as a visual designer. Also, Margaret up at the top, She also started at my agency. I hired her as a UX designer, and now look at where she's at. She's at Google. Michael, I hired him at Folklore as a visual designer, and now look at where he's at. He's a brand designer at Pepsi. And Grace, she was also a student of mine. I didn't necessarily hire her because she got hired somewhere else, but she ended up working at Amazon and now she's at Google. I'm just going to say that I'm sure, especially Margaret and Grace working at Google, they're probably easily making, I'd say like 150 to 200 grand a year. Easily. I couldn't be more proud of these four. There are many other students that are doing great. They're doing incredible, but I just wanted to highlight these four. And I also want to kind of tell a little bit of a quick story of Margaret as well, because Margaret was taking my class and I remember she was focusing on traditional graphic design first, and then she took my class. And it kind of changed everything about what she wanted to do in her portfolio. She decided that she didn't want to be a graphic designer. She didn't want to be a visual designer. She fell in love with user experience in my class. Like absolutely. She goes, this is exactly how I think. She goes, yeah, I love visual design, but she was like, I think more in strategy. I think more like kind of in these other areas that relate to you, like user experience. And she goes, Paul, do you mind like if I just focus on this? I go, absolutely, Margaret. So she ended up tailoring her entire final like portfolio on user experience. I hired her at Miram. She worked for us for a couple of years. She did incredible, and she kept going on and doing great. She's absolutely very successful, and again now at Google. So I'm just really proud of her. You can change course in your direction while you're going through City College, and I know Sean and Bradford will always support that if they know that it's for a positive reason. So I'm just really proud of Mark. All right. Teams. I posted it on Canvas, so it is on Canvas. I forgot what it's something like in like a discussion or whatever section that's in. So here's the teams, and also I'll give big kudos to if anybody recognizes these last names. So team one is Brody, team two is Cher, team three is Carson, team four is Greenman, team five is Ashworth, team six is Eames, and team seven is Oliver. I would assume team six is probably, yes, exactly, Dylan. Famous, yes. Way to go, Josh. Paula Cher, yes. Neville Brody, good job, Carl. Anybody else? Anybody else recognize these last names? Come on.
Is Paula Cher the one who did like or iconography for like Mac?
Probably. You might be right, Bree. She works at Pentagram. She's one of the partners at Pentagram, New York, which is probably one of the most famous design agencies ever in history. Charles Eames, yes, exactly, Janet. David Carson, way to go. That's right, David Carson. So we recognize Neville Brody, Paula Scher, David Carson, Charles Eames. Now, what about Ashworth, Oliver, and Greenman? Anybody? You can cheat and look them up real quick. Chris Ashworth, yes. Is that Mara?
Yes.
Mara, can you tell us who Chris Ashworth is?
Yeah, I did cheat and look up right now, but
Good.
he is an English graphic designer.
Yep.
Um, apparently for being the executive global creative director for Getty Images
Good.
and a few other things like Ray Gun. Yeah, Ray Gun. I
So
recognize the
look,
Ray
I'm gonna rotate my screen. Hold on. Hold on. Ooh, can you see those two images up there
Yeah, kind of
next to
the
the
bird.
skull? Those are 1996 original ray gun magazines. And those are both designed by him. Chris Ashworth is definitely very well known for that, but he's mostly well known as being one of the designers for Ray Gun magazine back in the 90s. And also, like somebody said, David Carson. David Carson also, yes, Swiss Grit. That's right. So David Carson became very famous. He also lived and worked in San Diego for quite some time. And David Carson is kind of considered like the pioneer or kind of grandfather or father of deconstructive design. So I'm going to pause. Can anybody tell me what deconstructive design means? Von Oliver, there you go. Nice. Yes, he did album. And one of them is the Pixies. Became very famous for all the album covers for the Pixies. So can anybody tell me what deconstructive design means?
Yeah, I can take a stab at it.
Please.
Uh, well, we were just in Sean's advanced type class just this last semester, and that's when I finally learned like that what David Carson was doing actually had an official name. Like, oh, we call that deconstruction. And it's like a serious deviation from the standard, like organized grid designs and nice, neat, crisp typography and looks like that. It just completely disregards all that.
Yeah. You know, I kind of sum it up, which you said it great, Carl, absolutely. I sort of sum it up as being more like expressive design. And expressive design is in a way, you're not necessarily, like you said, Carl, adhering to this structure, these grids, right? You're not adhering to kind of these standard principles of using legible typography. Intentional chaos. I love that, Dylan. That's a great one. Intentional chaos. Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good one. So I, I was I would say deconstructive design is what really got me into design. David Carson, I was just like absolutely in love with this stuff because it was that expressiveness. And then I ended up being participating in a lot of over my career, a lot of expressive design. So if you look up, let's see here, I'm going to send this. Go. I'm going to copy this here real quick. So this magazine here, which you guys might as designers probably really like. Plastic Home Magazine is a great example of expressive design or deconstructive design, or like you said, Dylan, intentional chaos. And I participated in 4 editions of that. And the reason why I have a big passion for expressionistic design is because there's something about just letting go, just not spending a bunch of time analyzing what you're doing, giving yourself a time limit on designing it, and then walking away and just going, boom. I'm just going to let the chips lie where they lay, right? Just throw them up and let the typography fall. I mean, I do usually have, especially whenever it comes to plastic comb, I do have sort of standard things that I like to stick with. I have this one font called VHS that I always like to use for body copy, mainly body copy. It's a really cool little old school font. But I just wanted to kind of pause on that a little bit because web design, we talk about accessibility, we talk about usability, right? It's a very, very common thing. And we're getting into a corporate website and an e-commerce website. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of room for expressionistic or intentional chaos when you're doing e-commerce and corporate websites. But I encourage you, when you get the opportunity to start expressing yourself in other areas, do it. It's very invigorating to be able to just design with just feeling and not structure. So, all right. Anyways, talked about that for maybe way too longer than we should have. All right. So we're going to get into, let me see here. Yes, we're going to get into the lecture here. Any questions before we move on? Especially about the teams. No? Oh,
Do you
yes, go ahead.
do you have any recommendations for like any resources to get better at the thing with the F? I'm sorry, Fabio or whatever it's called.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. You broke out for didn't understand. Get better at the what?
Sorry, I have to walk every so often.
Figma.
Figma, yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Figma for sure. Well, I mean, Figma, I think you guys can see it. They have a lot of video tutorials right there. So when you're in Figma and you click on help, you can go down to video tutorials. There's a lot of stuff there that you can learn from. There's also, they have really good support forums. And it was Melinda, right? I think it was Melinda that had said something.
yeah.
So Melinda, like I highly recommend you kind of look into those as well. And also like Bradford is really good at Figma. Do you have any classes with him? You do? Great. You might want to maybe persuade him. I don't know. However, like maybe he has some Figma classes he could share or something. But Bradford's really good at Figma. Sound good? Cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions, especially about the teams before we move on? No? Good, good. Oh, can real quick. Actually, no, sorry, I'm just train of thought. Email me if you're not in a group. Okay? And then I'll have to create a separate group or maybe just add you to one of these groups. Sound good? Sound good. All right. Okay, let's get into the lecture. We're at, 142. So, web design process. The web design process involves several key stages, each essential for creating a successful website. This process ensures that the final product user-friendly, it's not intentional chaos building, visually appealing, and functional. So, a good standard process that we've agreed on here at City College is discover, plan, design, develop, and optimize. And we're going to go through all of these steps of planning, okay? We got some a couple of examples and some discussion points, and I'm going to call on people because most of the time that's always more fun for me. It's just to call on people. So phase one, discover. The discovery phase focuses on understanding the project's goals, target audience, and the overall context in which the website will operate. This step gathers the essential information that will guide all subsequent decisions. So, qualitative research. Fun. That's a fun word to say. So what that includes is client questionnaire, which I've already shared it. And that's our assignment starting today. We'll get to that. So, client questionnaire, stakeholder interviews, user interviews, internal audits, competitive analysis, user surveys, and website analytics. We're not going to be doing all that stuff, man. Yeah, that's not all of it, but there are going to be certain things that we'll be tackling in this class. So that example on the right is an example of mine that I give my clients. So the creative questionnaire that you guys have received is actually based off of a version of this that I had introduced in at City a few years ago. So this was for that real project that Hatlestat Consulting that I had shared on Monday. And I started off with, like question 1, describe your company from a 30-foot view. 2, where do you see your company? 3, da, da, da. And I have I think about 13 questions in my particular brand questionnaire that I encourage my clients to spend time with and complete as much as possible. And then once they complete it, I do a meeting and we talk about this. And that's the thing that I had mentioned in class 1 is this is that participation level that is encouraged and that is real world. We're not playing tennis. I'm not just hitting the ball and hoping that you'll hit it back to me. We are actually engaging. We're opening conversation up to get to know each other. And I encourage that in my partnerships with my client and my partnerships with my teams is to talk and to problem solve together. And so I immediately schedule a meeting and we go through this and we discuss it and we kind of pick this questionnaire apart to really kind of get under the hood and start understanding their business and what problems we need to solve. Carl, was it you that had said, why are there so many problems to solve? Was that
Yeah,
you?
I was asking like what is the problem? Why do they keep saying problems?
Yeah, because there's always problems to solve, unfortunately. And like I said, for the new people, maybe unfortunately, but I always look at that there's opportunity in everything. The more questions you ask, the more work you get. Most of the time, when I get hired and then I spend some time getting under the hood and getting to know the business and getting to know the client, and I start asking these questions, it ends up turning into more work. More work, more money, better relationship. You also, in your client's mind, become a problem solver. And that's what they want. They don't just want a person that pushes buttons. If you just want people that push buttons, go to a bank. Go to one of those places. We're creatives. We're here to creatively problem solve. So design briefs. Design briefs can come out of the creative questionnaire, and these design briefs are very, very useful because a design brief can be a document that outlines the project's objectives that you already kind of pulled out of your client if they didn't already give this to you. It also can outline the goals, but these last two are the ones that will bite you in the rear the most and lose you money and cause conflict. If you do not clearly articulate your scope and the constraints of the project, you will lose money. You will cause conflict. You may get fired. And worse, you actually might get sued. I don't think anybody wants to get sued, right? I don't want to get sued. I've never gotten sued. I have sometimes gone outside of scope. It's a very, very common thing. It happens a lot to us creatives. I think your margin for what we call scope creep, write that down. It is an industry term. You will hear it. Scope creep. Clients will always try to get scope creep. They'll always try to wiggle something in there that wasn't agreed upon. Yes,
How do
Melinda,
you spell that?
scope creep?
Yeah, I can't quite understand the word you're saying.
Sure, yeah. So scope, yeah, thank you so much, Carl. Appreciate that. So scope creep, when you kind of start creeping, right? Like your dog when they want a little bit more food, they start creeping towards you, right? I know my Doberman does it when they want a little more of something. So scope creep, look it up. You could even Google it if you want to. It's definitely a real term. It's when a client or somebody is trying to get more than what they agreed. So you have to be very, very careful about scope creep and also have a tolerance, have sort of a margin of how much you might do outside of what was agreed upon. And there's a lot of factors that can go into that. And it's up to you as a creative. Sometimes you might do it because it's a really great project and you got paid really good, or you might really like working with the person. So you kind of gave them a little margin of just a little extra scope creep. Or you're like, man, you know what? This could really turn into a long-term relationship. So I'm not going to really nickel and dime them on a little bit of this scope creep. So it's up to you, but it's very important. Sure, you bet, Melinda. It's very important to articulate as detailed as you possibly can on the scope and the constraints. Because, like I said, worst comes to worst, you could get sued. Maybe the least is you might lose a little money and time, but be careful. It's something that can make or break a project. All right, next, competitive analysis. So these competitive analyses are really, really important. And they're super important because it can be a summary of competitors. And it doesn't have to be a competitor website, everybody. It can be a competitor's brand. It can be a competitor's target audience. It can be a competitor's a lot of different things. So it can be a competitor's website highlighting strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities for differentiation. You could also do an internal website audit, which is similar, but analysis and analyzing the existing website for a redesign project. So think about this. The advantage of doing competitor analysis is, and you would be surprised how your client doesn't do any research on their own competitors, which always blows my mind. They'll like come up with a name or they'll do a logo and you'll go, or pick a color and you'll go, did you Google that? They're like, oh, no, not really. I'm like, you mean you didn't Google the name of your company? Did you even, like, did you realize that you actually don't have a URL out there available that you can own for your company? They're like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah. Like, you didn't do a little bit of research on your competitors and your own, like, oh yeah, happens all the time. All the time. So competitor analysis is really important because let's say they fell in love with the color blue, but you found out that their main competitor uses blue. You're like, well, you probably don't want to use blue. Yes, Shaver.
You just said competitor audience, and I just like my immediate thought was, well, isn't that your audience too, or is it like an audience that your client's missing, or
Could be both. That's a good point. It's right. If it's your competitor audience, it's going to be very similar audiences that you're talking to, right? Shaver, you said, but like you said, when you start doing these audits, and let's say you do this competitor analysis, you might find that there's a gap in a target audience that you want to go for. It's a very good point. I like that one. That was a really good question.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, next, personas. So, detailed profiles representing key segments of target audiences includes their needs, behaviors, and goals. These are really beautiful posters of target audiences. And guess who designed them? I did. My designers and I did at Miram for Mazda. So I'm just kind of tooting my own horn here. So just bear with me here. The reason why they actually do look like posters and they're so well thought out and designed out is because Mazda, they loved the analytics that we did so much, and they liked our presentations so much in the way they looked and how we presented ourselves. They asked us if we would do these big posters that they could print out and put them in their office. So everybody, when they walked by, understood who their target audience was. And so that's why they looked so nice, and they've been really, really thought out and designed as sort of like these posters. And we did about 5 of them. And let me write down this, because I'm going to share all these this persona and then the next one. So let me just write this down. Share personas with class. Okay, so I'll post that in Canvas so everybody has access to these. So the things that we ended up kind of breaking down is all of these things for not only Mazda shaver, right, their target audience, but also the industry. So we ended up looking at the entire industry of what we called mid-level luxury cars and brands. Can anybody throw out a couple of car brands that you think would be mid-level luxury? Just speak up.
Lincoln.
Lincoln, okay, good one.
Lexus.
Who?
Lexus.
Lexus, yep, good one.
Toyota.
Toyota, okay.
Yeah.
I would say they might only have one model that would fall under mid-level luxury, and that's the Land Cruiser.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I would say Toyota is not considered mid-level luxury, but that vehicle is. So who said that? I just couldn't see it.
Sam.
Oh, hey, Sam.
Hi.
Yes. Do you drive a Toyota?
No. But they also make Lexus, right? So like Lexus would
They
be-
do, but they created that to be that mid-level luxury. Same thing with Hyundai. Can anybody tell me the brand for Hyundai that's mid-level luxury?
Mm.
Is it Honda?
Genesis. Genesis is the brand that they created to compete in the mid-level luxury market. Was somebody else going to say something, Joshua? I thought it looked like you might say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hyundai, but
Hyundai?
beat me to
Yeah.
the Genesis.
Right. So again, like you and Sam are very close to being right about that. They both
Acura?
created a brand to compete in the mid-level luxury market. So the reason why these particular personas, because Mazda wanted to be in the mid-level luxury market. Tesla, yeah, for sure, Bree. Yeah, Tesla I would consider is, man, that's a hard one because a lot of people might consider them to be luxury market. Subaru, no, I have to say I wouldn't agree on that one. Subaru.
Mazda?
Say that again?
Mazda?
Yeah, Mazda is. That's the one we're talking about right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So good. Yes, you're right. So to kind of go back to these personas, we were creating personas based off this mid-level luxury market that applied to Mazda. And so we did about 5 of them. Next, Mall of America. And I'll share this one too. These, oh my God, talking about detailed analytics around personas. These are going to blow your mind. And I'm not going to go through all of this stuff, and you'll see it in the examples that I send to you. We picked apart these personas at such a different level. And we ended up designing these posters because Mall of America liked what I showed them with the Mazda ones. They asked me to do the same thing for them. But we got super detailed in the analytics around these. And it's wild because we broke it apart all the way down to the seasonality of how people shop at Mall of America. It was pretty cool. It was a really, really great project. I enjoyed this a lot. So, all right, phase 2, planning. The planning phase involves laying out the structure and strategy for the website. This step includes defining the site's architecture, creating wireframes, and planning how content will be organized and presented. And we do this through sitemaps. So sitemaps are extremely useful, especially, well, you know what? They're useful, but they're absolutely necessary. Do not avoid this phase when you're working on these projects. It serves as a structure map of all the important pages on the website. It helps to identify search engines and user navigation, understands the site structure. But what it also does is it helps you to identify the scope of the project. I actually highly encourage when you're scoping a project out, clients come to you and go, I want you to redesign this site, that you spend time doing a real basic low fidelity sitemap. You probably could use ChatGPT to do it for you. Just saying. I bet that you could type it in. I know there's other AI platforms out there that will do it for you. I bet that you can use ChatGPT or some of these other AI and go, hey, ChatGPT, can you create a sitemap for this URL? And you drop it in there and it probably would do it for you. So there's some cheating. Not really. It's tools. It's not cheating if it's a free tool to use. And it's an approved tool. User flow. User flows are extremely important too. So a visual representation of how users navigate through a website or application to complete specific goals or tasks. Its primary purpose is to map out the ideal user journey to ensure a smooth and efficient experience. So I'm going to pause on that. And can anybody kind of give me sort of a theory on how user flows and personas work together? Take a moment. Just take a moment to kind of think about that. How do user flows and personas work together? Carl, I saw you were about to talk first, and then Dylan, I see you raise your hand too. And then I see, oh, good, there's a couple of them. All right. So I'm going to let Carl take a quick stab, and then Dylan, let's all talk about it because I think this is great. This is a really important topic. Carl,
Okay.
what do you think?
I think that you would use the persona information to decide which pages your target audience is going to want to be at, and then kind of make it as easy as possible to get from the homepage to those areas.
Okay. It's a great one. Yes. Dylan, I saw you raise your hand next. You want to give some thought around that?
I think like once you're able to get like the main type of person that will be using whatever site it is, you can kind of predict how they'll use it. So then you can make it as easy for that kind of thing as possible.
It's great. Great answer too. You're 100% right. Maya, or is it Maya, right?
Yes.
Okay. I saw you raise your hand next. What are your thoughts?
Just like as an example, the one of the personas you showed was like someone who really cares about deals and like a good Yeah, the deal seeker.
Deal
So
seeker?
like for someone like that, I would imagine like you'd want to make like the sale tab or like a sale button or like show the deals like right on the homepage more than like if you're targeting like the trendsetter, then you would want to show like the newest styles in or your newest products in right when they click on the page. So kind of just like seeing what you'd want to show first based on your target audience and what areas of the website you would want to make most prominent when you first like enter it.
You're 100% right too. Joshua, and also I really, really like that thinking. It's, you know, I like how you kind of connected the one persona around sort of like what speaks to them individually. That was just, yeah, really spot on. Joshua, I saw you raise your hand next.
So how user flows and personas work together, I like to think it's by giving you the ability to see how a person thinks and what they want. So you can hear a lot of options or like possibilities from them, which helps you develop the flow chart or yeah, the flow chart a little bit better. You might have some ideas there that are already like good for those people to answer, but there also might be the possibility of that one person having something new that you might want to add to your flowchart. So it helps you do a little more and put more into whatever you're making.
Absolutely. You're 100% right too. Absolutely. Anybody else? Anybody else have a thought before I continue on this topic? No? Okay. So all of you are right. There were really like spot on theories and ideas because when you're considering your personas and what you've identified, what they like and how they sort of think and what they do, then you create a user flow based off of them. You may have, like in, for instance, I'll use Mazda USA as an example. We had about five, I think like five personas. So we created, sorry, I don't even know how to hold up right fingers. We had five, and we created user flows based off of all five personas. And guess what? I think, Carl, you were the one that said homepage, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So get this. Based off of most of our personas, we didn't even start with the homepage. Right? You're like, whoa, what? Huh? Because based off of our personas, nobody was just typing in Mazda. They were typing in Mazda CX-9. They were typing in a model of Mazda. Sure, no problem. So based off of our research and all the analytics, the SEO analytics and all like what was happening on their current site, and based off of our personas, we got so in depth that what we found out was nobody ever just types in Mazda. What they type in the actual model that they're interested in. So then what we did was we created user flows based off of that type of searching from the inside out. And guess what? We started all of our wireframing with the model pages first. We literally started our very first user flows and our very first wireframing based off of a model page. And then based off of the persona, then we did the user flows from there. Some people went from the model page to the home page, and then boom, like maybe to the about page, and we created a persona, user flow based off of that. And then there's some people that might have done multiple searches off of like, they were looking at 2 different models, right? So then they jump from one model to the next. And so we created these different user flows based off these personas. So when Maya, what you said, I loved it. Like when you go, well, the deal seeker, yeah, Sam, that makes so much sense, right? Isn't that interesting? Like you just wouldn't even think of that. But I guarantee that all of you probably do the same thing. You probably do a search and you don't even, is it Carolyn? Carolyn?
Yes.
I got that right. It's not Caroline.
Yes, it's Carolyn.
Okay.
No, it's
Caroline, yes,
Carolyn.
go ahead.
Thank you. I'm a huge Mazda fan. My whole family drives them.
Awesome.
I would also think in a car manufacturer or a lot of sites, actually, did you think about whether it was a current owner or a potential buyer of how they would
Absolutely.
use the site?
100%. And we had this one, you'll see it in the personas. She was one of those. So she was looking for a new model because she's a Mazda. Like she is like that particular persona. She is a Mazda enthusiast. And so we had a persona that is a Mazda enthusiast. Absolutely. But to kind of follow up on what I was mentioning is how often do all of you do a search and never even land on a home page? You go into the site, right? And remember the weird metaphor that I saw most of you guys make weird faces around about my house with hundreds of doors? That's what it is, guys. A website is like this house that you can just enter from wherever. It's usually never just from the front door. Nobody's really just walking through the front door of a website. They're coming in from the bedroom, right? They're coming in from these different angles. Or maybe what you did was you did a search around, about Mazda or Mazda design, and it took you right into that internal page. You didn't even walk through the front door. So yes, my metaphors make sense, sometimes not always at the beginning. All right, so I really love user flows. I think user flows are super important, and I encourage you to do at least 2 persona user flows, depending on how many personas you do. How are we doing on time? 2:12. We're doing great. I've only been talking straight for 1 hour and 12 minutes. Hold on. Yes. Carl, go for it.
Thank you. Will we look more before we do one of these? Are we going to talk about what the diamond means versus what the rounded square means and why it's laid out that way?
Yeah. I'm going to have to refresh my memory because I didn't do this one. Bradford provided this particular user flow, and people use different objects for different reasons. So these particular sort of shapes, these shapes can mean different things. So yeah, they do. And you can see that he was using these kind of yellow circles for starting and exiting points, but he was using these green, squares more for like probably landing and sort of like basically a decision place. Because you can see you start and it immediately says, are you a member? So that's a decision spot. You can go this way or you can go that way. Yes. Welcome back, Precious. Hope you feel better. Sketches. So this is great because, as a student or as a entry level designer, it's important to take your time to kind of loosely put out your thought process, right? I am old school, man. I keep notebooks after notebooks. I literally look at this. sketching, sketching. But guess what? This is not a website. Whoops. This is a house I'm designing. But I do sketch out a lot of stuff. And it's really important to do your sketches because it allows you to kind of work through mistakes and ideas a lot better. And you kind of have a what they call fail fast theory. And there's a lot of big companies that promote failing fast. Big companies like Meta, Zuckerberg, and a lot of these guys, they talk about it a lot, and it's nothing new. They didn't invent it. Failing fast. You want to fail fast through sketching. You want to work through these ideas and go, oh, well, that didn't work. Even whenever you looked at that Neutra article, their sketches, Neutra was most architects are big sketchers because they need to fail fast. They need to problem solve fast. So again, use it all the time, right? Architecture and what we do are very, very similar. It's all interaction design. It's all experience design. It's all human-centered design. Next, we talked about wireframes. Oh, this is something that you're either going to love or hate, I think, when it comes to designers. Wireframes are really necessary in most cases. I would say most cases, because I didn't do any wireframing for that APX hockey site. I didn't do any wireframing for that Hatlet consulting site. But I also have been doing this for 20 some years. So I have I can work things out in my head a little bit faster than, an entry-level designer. So wireframes are really important most of the time, because what it does is it allows you to have kind of low fidelity blueprints of the content. So these blueprints are a website layout serving as a visual guide for structure, content placement, and functionality. Excuse me. Its primary purpose is to establish a clear plan before moving into design and development, because what it does is it allows you to stay on track with scope. That scope thing, right? You have these wireframes and you're able to agree on things with your client, so your client doesn't start scope creeping you. You go, well, hey, we agreed that we're going to only have 4 modules on this page, and you just asked us to do 7. Well, that's not what we agreed on. You're doing some scope creep right now. That takes time and effort. It takes money. So, the key purposes I have in here: define layout and structure, focus on functionality and user experience, saves time and reduces revisions, aids in collaboration between teams, enhances user-centered design, and it helps with all that. I have introduced a non-wireframe theory, and we applied it a few times back in the day at Miram. And it really kind of avoids the whole wireframing process because, and this was my theory, this is a tried and true. This isn't actually not a theory. This is actually the reason why I introduced this, is basically a content doc. So it's a content document that outlines the structure and the flow of content and the hierarchy of content and the amount of content on a page. And my purpose for saying we're not going to do wireframes, we're going to do this content doc, is because wireframes for a visual designer on some projects can pigeonhole you and not give you creative freedom. Take a pause on that while I take a sip of tea. Oh, that's too hot right now. So think about that. You're not there yet, but when you look at this wireframe, it's a very visual thing, right? Everybody's going to look at this and go, okay, well, there's this many images and there's this carousel and then there's this next module down. You got this big image and 4 images and and then you got this layout. And it's a very layout driven approach, which is necessary for some projects. But for some projects, it ends up handicapping you as a visual designer and not allowing you to kind of explore sort of your kind of a visual design because this wireframe has told you where everything needs to be. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that sort of theory? Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to put it out there. If you come to me and go, hey, Paul, for this project, I really want to do one of these content docs because I did already do a wireframe for this other one and I know how to do it, but I really want to sort of explore this content thing. And I will help you with that to make, to kind of show you how those are done. Because what you end up doing is you create sort of global elements like, all right, the main navigation, you outline, the main navigation is going to include this, this, and this. And the tertiary, the secondary navigation is going to, all right, so that's set aside in the content doc. And now we're going to move on to the home page. And the home page is going to have this content and it's going to be broken up into this hierarchy and it's going to be placed. And I'll help you with that. So if you're interested in it, I'll help you explore that. Here's some examples of different levels of wireframes. I wouldn't personally, this is what Bradford put in here. Honestly, I'm going to go back to this. This, to me, is a low fidelity wireframe, a sketch. Okay? I suggest that you do your low fidelity, which he had here on the left. To me, that's a medium fidelity. Where he has low fidelity, that's a medium fidelity. And then these other two on the right are high fidelity / final. But this right here, this is what you call a low fidelity wireframe. And this, there's nothing wrong with going to your client with this. Don't be afraid. Go, hey, Shaver, you're my client. You go, hey, Shaver, I wanted to meet with you and share my thinking around the user flow of the page and the structure of it. And I have these low fidelity wireframes I'd like to talk to you about. I guarantee most clients will go, sure, yeah, man, that's great. Let's talk about it and share this. Yes.
When you talk to clients, do you use terms like that or do you dumb it down for them?
It depends. That's a good question. It kind of depends on their knowledge, but I usually get a pretty good feeling of my clients up front during the creative questionnaire and the strategy phases of how much knowledge they know. So it kind of depends. Because what you don't want to do, and this is something I've learned in my career, but this is human behavior. So I'm just going to say this is human behavior. You want to avoid talking down to people, right? That's a human behavior thing. Nobody ever wants to feel like you're kind of talking down at them and using terms and words and you're sort of talking over their head where you're not relating to them. That's just human behavior and human dialogue. So it's very similar to how you build trust in a partnership with the client. You want to figure out like how you can educate your client and build them up and strengthen the relationship and not talk over their head or talk down to them. Because they'll pick it up and then they'll be like, you might be a great designer, but you're not pleasant to work with. Right? I see a lot of you guys nodding your head because that's an important thing, everyone. I have a lot of repeat clients. As a matter of fact, I just signed, I'll get to you 1 second, Joshua. I'm very proud to say that this client, her name's Krista, and she just signed a new project with me. This is the 4th project I've worked with her on. She is a director. She has worked for Lifetime in the History Channel. She helped direct Vikings and all these like big shows. And she just signed this new project with me because she likes working with me. I mean, I'm good at what I do, but she likes working with me. And it's a new project. It's about a $24,000 project to do a small branding gig and a small website. And I gave her the good client discount because she's such a great client. She's a repeat client. And so, I give her the great client rate because there is a pain in the ass client rate. I can promise you that. Yeah, Joshua.
No, yeah, if it's why it's important to like be respectful and kind to your clients because then they start to like know you more. They say, "Oh, hey, he's a pretty cool guy," and yeah, he's good at what he does, and he's really nice. On top of that, that gives
Absolutely.
you better rep, like better reputation, and you might even get recommended to other clients. So that adds up to like, hey, that just adds more to your like bonus in the terms of like getting money.
Yep. So, Joshua, that it's a good point to reiterate. And you got me thinking that they don't. I'm going to go back. You're going to hear me say, you're like, God, Paul, how many times are you going to say this, man? I'm
Go ahead.
teaching you real world theories here,
Mhm.
everyone. And do not underestimate your reputation. It gets around. I have seen creatives out there burn bridges and it gets around because then it's happened. I've gotten an email or text message from another creative I know that works at an agency, and they go, "Hey, Paul, I noticed that so and so worked for you. Um, would you recommend them?" I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't recommend them, and that's all I can say. By law, I really can't say anything else. But be careful, always be respectful, always be kind, be thoughtful about your relationships. They don't really teach this in school, but man, be careful about your reputation. It can really bite you in the butt later on if you're not thoughtful and you're not kind to people. So, you know, yeah, that's not a part of the curriculum, but that's just some advice. Shaver, yes.
That scenario with the low wireframe, like talking about it with your client first,
Mhm.
was that so that you don't overwhelm him with a medium or a high if you're trying to like slowly introduce like a vision, or was it to like save time and effort if they don't like the idea?
Both.
Right.
Good point. It's both. You're 100% right. It can be both, or it could be one of the two. Okay, great point. I like that. All right, so moving on. Sam. Yes.
Sorry, I was just wondering when you're quoting a client for a project, do you normally quote them like a high and a low price? Like it could be up to this price, but we're going to try to get it a little bit lower.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely can. Some clients actually ask for that. Some clients might ask you for, I'm just going to be funny, the Toyota budget or the Lexus budget. So yes, you're 100% right. There are clients that ask you for that. All right, moving on. 2:30. I think we're still doing good. We're what, halfway through, I guess. Phase 3, design. The planning phase involves laying out the structure and strategy for the website. This step includes defining the site's architecture, creating wireframes, and planning how content will be presented. So, yeah. Sorry, let me just go for. I messed something up. Oh my goodness! I didn't mess this up. That doesn't make sense. That's redundant. That's not me. That was Bradford. I just caught that. That's not right. We're going to skip that. I'm going to improv here. Designing. We all know what designing is. Designing is now taking everything that you did and now starting to put it together to actually design. I completely overlooked this. So, what that means is you took personas, user flow, brand elements, right? Logos, colors, fonts, all this stuff that you've established up front, user flow. And now you're getting to, and I'll update that previous screen. I don't know. I just breezed over that. Now you're getting into the actual design. And so what we got here is what we call high fidelity mockups. Now you don't always have to do a high fidelity mockup. You could kind of do a low fidelity mockup. You could do something that's a little bit looser and not so polished, but this one is showing kind of a high fidelity mockup. It's a detailed visual representation of the website's key pages, including typography, color schemes, imagery, and UI. So going back to Mazda, we, based off of our personas, we ended up designing the model page first. It also was the page that had the most interactivity and the most information in it. Like if you go pull it up on the side, you go to Mazda USA and go to like CX-9 page. I think that's their most luxury SUV. Just kind of scroll to that page, man. With most car model pages, those pages have a ton of stuff going on. You can select color, you can select interior, you can select fabric, you can select rims, you can select there's like all kinds of stuff that you can select in these model pages. So that's why we kind of dug into that and worked our way out. So but sometimes clients don't really want to take that approach. They want to see the homepage, but you can always go, well, we won't do the homepage, but we're also going to do this interior page because based off of our personas, this is the page that most people are going to go to, but we're also going to show you the homepage. Next are UI kits. So technically, you could do this first. And I'm going to stop to see if somebody can kind of share some insight on why I said that. What would be the benefit or the disadvantage of doing your UI kit, which is a collection of pre-designed user interface elements that help the designer and the developer create consistent and visual appealing website quickly and efficiently? It serves as a design toolkit that includes essential components like buttons, icons, typography, but it also color. What would be the advantage or disadvantage of doing a UI kit first before you do a mockup? Sam, you raise your hand first, then Joshua, you did yours next, and I also saw Donna do something. So Sam, you answer first.
I would say maybe one disadvantage would be if a client likes everything you send them in the kit and then you get it all together and realize it's not working all together, but they're already like really set on what you presented, then maybe you're kind of like stuck.
That's a good one. Yes, you're right. Joshua, I saw you next. What do you think?
I agree with that disadvantage. And so I want to do an advantage and a disadvantage real quick. So an advantage would be already have all the tools and like features and like elements at hand ready to go. But what if you have an element in there? This comes to my disadvantage. What if you have an element in there that when you probably put it to play, it doesn't look as good as you hoped, and now it kind of looks ugly. So now you kind of have to start over and start tweaking your UI kit even more and get some help on what could work for this website that you're designing.
Great insight as well. You guys are really smart, man. Did I see somebody else? I saw Donna. Can you share your thoughts, please?
I wrote that it sets up a guide or a set of constraints of what you can use for the website, like colors, fonts.
So you're saying that's an advantage of doing it first?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, you're absolutely right. Melinda, I see you raise your hand. What are your thoughts?
This is the fear of graphic design. The client can just take all that info and just do it themselves somehow.
That's a good one too. I didn't, yeah, I've never thought about that, but yeah, that is true. You're right. I guess that could happen. So now I'm going to share some experience because everything that you said is great. That all could happen. Now I'm going to share a little experience. The reason why that I personally have done UI kits first before I've ever started designing a page is because usually of time and budget. That's most of the time. And what I mean by that is we have already, which happens a lot, we're already behind schedule. Strategy took too long. UX took too long, right? And now you're going, wait a minute. I was supposed to start designing like 2 months ago, man. What the hell? Like my team burned all this damn extra time and budget, and now the design team and the development team is behind schedule. That happens all the time. So now I've talked to the dev team and we've said, hey man, or hey person, you really need to get started on the basic framework of the website because we're already behind schedule. So how about you just go ahead and kind of start working on these styles, right? We're going to say, yeah, let's just go ahead and get the main nav and the footer in place. And then let's just go ahead and kind of agree on these headers and this body copy and, the background color of the website, these, what we call global elements. Let's just go ahead and get development started on these global elements. And we got this UI kit already in place that they can start pulling from because we're already behind schedule. Solving problems, right, Carl? We're solving problems because there's always problems. And your job is to always come up with solutions, not to say no. I don't want to hear people say no. Clients doesn't want to hear you say no. Nobody wants to hear you say no. We want to hear a solution. So that's a real world solution that has happened many times. You will see it many, many times in your career that you're behind schedule and you're over budget. And now it's your turn to start doing stuff and you're already 2 months behind schedule. So, great conversation. Phase 4 development. So What we just talked about also spills over into this phase, development. In the development phase, sorry guys, I got mint in my tea. So in the development phase, the visual designs are transformed into a functional website. This step involves coding the site, ensuring responsiveness, and integrating any necessary tools or features. Again, I'm not going to get deep into this because that's not really what we're doing here. We're not building these sites, coding sites here. If you want to get into coding and all that stuff, there's definitely a different class for all that stuff. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. At least I don't think at City there is. But defining web specs is important. So a detailed document that defines the technical, functional, and design requirements of a website. It acts as a blueprint for the designers, developers, and stakeholders, ensuring the project stay on track within budget. So ideally, this is done up front during the scoping phase. Because on a big project like Mazda USA, you need to agree on and identify web specs and what kind of platform it's going to be built on. And the constraints, remember, I talked about what's going to make you fail more, or scope and constraints. Those are the things that are going to make you, cause you to fail. If you haven't identified scope and the constraints. So identifying the scope and constraints will help you identify what platform you want to build on. I've had clients like that Apex hockey site. My client goes, well, what do you think about Webflow? What do you think about WordPress? I go, well, I think a lot about those, and I've used those. I've designed for them, but based off of your budget and your timeline, I can't do that. I said, based off of these things, we can only do a Squarespace site. And I can only do it based off your budget and your timeline and my abilities. I was very transparent up front. I go, great. If you want to go down that route, I'm going to have to hire somebody, and that's going to cost you more, probably double the budget. You're like, well, I can't do that. I can get more money. I'm like, well, okay then. It's Squarespace. Squarespace it is, right? No more conversation. In the conversation. So, showing some code. Fun. Fun. Code. Yay. It's like a different language. It really is. It's a different language. Phase 5, optimize. The optimize phase focuses on maintaining and improving the website after it has gone live. Or I will add to that. It doesn't have to go live to optimize it. You can optimize it during the QA phase. It's called quality assurance phase. Write that down. Quality assurance, QA, is an industry term. QA, the QA phase involves a lot of people. And I'm going to warn you about this. If the development phase and your project managers don't want to involve you as the designer in the QA phase, then it's probably because they changed some of your stuff. And they don't want to do what you did in your wireframing and your design. They don't want you to see what they're doing. That is a real world experience thing. Okay?
But why would they hide that from
one,
you?
Don't ever remove that pin. So was somebody about to talk?
Yeah, I was saying, why would they want to hide that from you? Wouldn't they want to tell you, what they would do differently?
Yeah.
Or because they want to fire you?
Why would they, Bree? Why would they ever would they ever not want to show you your designs in the development? Well,
That's
it
dumb
could be
because then you
for a
can just see
variety.
afterwards.
Right. So it could be for a variety of reasons. All right. I'm going to answer that based off the developer. The developer maybe didn't want to do something because it was too hard, or change something because maybe they just thought it was better, or they just didn't like something, or maybe they don't like you. Maybe you're a pain in the ass to work with, and they're like, I ain't gonna show them that. Right? So you see, like, it could be for a variety of reasons. The project manager and maybe the account person, yeah, it could be probably from the client's perspective. Maybe the client came in at the end, which happens all the time. It happened with the APX site. The client came in and changed the order of the main nav at literally 2 days before it was about to launch. Hey, can you guys hold on for a second? There's somebody here. Yeah, can I help you? Yeah, we already got solar. We're good, man. Yeah, we're good. Appreciate it. I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm working. Have a good day. Thank you. Sorry, I faced the front of my house, and the solar reps love to come in here and try to upsell you on stuff.
You need a no soliciting sign.
Yeah, well, or if my Doberman was here, he wouldn't have gotten this far. So, anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so I was talking about, like, from the client perspective, the project manager and the account person. The client could have came in at the last minute and changed things, and now the project manager and the account person doesn't want to show you because now it's scope creep. And now you're going to have to, maybe, I don't know, you're going to have an opinion, or and they just don't want to show you because the client decided to change a color or whatever bullshit that they do. And they like to do a lot of BS. So it could be from a variety of perspectives, Bray, of why they wouldn't want to show you. So my recommendation, always, 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 always demand it, that you require that you get time, because they will try to not allocate time. The project manager will go, oh, well, we ran out of budget. We don't have, they'll say that. We don't have budget for you to QA the site now. Sorry, we don't have budget. You go, no, well, then fine, I'll just do it on my own time because I care that much. I care. I highly recommend, or you'll end up coming out, like, they'll launch a site that might not look like what you designed. Melinda, yes.
How do you go, like, what would be a good source, I know, very beginning phase, to like figure out how to do good pitching and good pricing to not get into situations of like, oh, I just didn't price that right.
Right. That's a great question. Great question. So, well, you try to be a part of the scoping phase. If it's a big company, you might not be a part of the scoping phase at all. They might just sell it. The biz dev guys love to sell things that aren't possible. And that's real world stuff. I know you laugh and you smile like, what are you talking? Oh, yeah. Biz dev guys, they're like, or people, sorry, biz dev people. Sorry, I loosely use the term guys. I'm not talking about men in particular, so I'm just phrasing that. So biz dev people love to sell things just to make the money. And there are lots of times that they won't even bring you in the scoping phase. And then you go, what? I can't do this for this much. Wait a minute. You don't even have QA in here. There's no time and budget to even check the site and test it. So ideally, Melinda, you can be a part of the scoping phase. Ideally. And then you have to do your due diligence to make sure that there's time and budget for you to be able to do these things. So that's ideally. Yes, that's the best scenario.
Just like, how do you get into the scoping phase? Like, how do you present that?
Well, you ask, but not always you're going to be a part of it. It may just happen. You make every client sign a contract. Oh yeah, Sam. Oh yeah. So before I answer that, you ask, and then there are many, many times that they just do it, and then you have an argument, and then that's where the relationship, right? Comes into play. I used to just loathe the biz dev people at Miram because they would just sell stuff, just sell it, just sell it. Sure, we'll just figure it out, or just sell it. Figure it out. Yeah. So you just ask, you just try to do your due diligence to try to be a part. In a smaller agency, or if you're working for yourself, Sam, so if you're working for yourself, you have to be responsible. So what I do, and I'll share these with you, okay? So what I do is, like this recent project, I send over a proposal / estimate based off of my first conversation with them. So that's just an estimate. Go, well, kind of based off of our conversation, you're asking for a new brand and a website. But we haven't really gotten into the scope of the website yet. So I'm going to estimate this website's going to be between 3 and 8 pages. So I send over this proposal estimate first, and I break down pricing. And this is real world. I just got the response from her this morning. I proposed, because she's a great client, only $8,000 to help her out for this branding phase, which is not much. It really isn't. It should be twice that. And then a 4 to 8 page website, very light content. And I estimated $6,000 for that, or sorry, $16,000 for that, because I know it's going to be based off Squarespace. Because again, I'm giving her a great client discount. It should be twice this. Just a proposal estimate. She agreed on it. And then she goes, hey, can we break up the pricing based off this and this? Can I do this? Can we just start the branding phase first? And can I just pay on that first? I go, sure. So the next phase, Sam, is I send her a real statement of work that outlines in detail what this is going to be about. And she has to sign it. And here's the other clicker. I do not start any project without a deposit. I require half up front. I just don't start it. It is what it is. And I also suggest you don't take checks. Don't take a check. It's digital. We're in a digital world. Checks. Who the hell writes checks and mails it? I've been burned. You'll get burned. I had a really good client. I really got pissed off at him. He said he sent me the deposit, and he goes, oh, well, I sent it to you last week. And I go, well, bro, it hasn't gotten here yet. Well, maybe somebody stole it in the mail. I'm like, man, nobody broke into my mailbox and stole your check. So I change it. It's all digital. So anyways, well, at least if you aren't a part of the scope, then you don't have to be the one to explain to the client. Yeah, I agree, but you'll get burned at the end. So anyways, these are real world stuff I'm teaching you guys, and write it down and remember it. But if one lesson is, if you're working at an agency, try to be a part of the scoping phase. If you're working for yourself, you better do your due diligence to outline everything. Have them sign stuff. They can digitally sign it. Real world, you can create PDFs out of InDesign that have like signature marks. I can even show you that, where you can build it in where you send them a PDF and they can digitally sign it as a PDF and date it and return it. And then you go, now I'm waiting for my deposit. I don't start without my deposit. Simple as that. All right. Anyways, A/B testing. This is where a method you use to compare two versions of a web page to determine which performs better based off specific user engagement. Like you can test one, one way, one the other. You can do different types of A/B testing. It could be done based off of like, your UI kit, or you can do it based off of browsers and stuff like that. And you can see this one where the testing on A has a very simple headline. It just has a headline and some support copy and a call to action, where the one on the right actually has interactive headline. And you do user testing based off of that. But that requires a big budget, and that requires a big timeline, because to do these live, real built out A/B testing, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that you've been using Instagram and you notice that something's changed on it, and then maybe your friend doesn't have the same thing in their interface? Hey, Dylan, speak up. Speak up, Dylan.
I have multiple Instagram accounts, and sometimes it's different per account, and it pisses me off.
Bingo.
It pisses me off so much.
I do too.
Annoying.
I got like 3 Instagram. Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna let you go yet.
Oh no.
Why? Why do you think that's happening?
Well, usually I think that it's because it updates at different times, because they do that anyways, but
It's A/B testing.
oh no. Ew. Ew.
No, I know. Hey man, I'm just being real with you. I'm not here to lie. I'm just here to kind of tell you what the real world is doing. They're doing A/B testing on you.
The main part that's annoying is that they'll put stuff in different spots. Not that it'll just look different. I'm just like, oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
can't navigate it anymore. And I'm like, where did the thing go?
Guess
Completely
what?
gone.
I have a friend. He's a friend. He actually used to be a designer that worked for me. He works at Instagram. He and I used to surf together too. He's a really good surfer. But I asked him one day, I go, I got multiple accounts and this happens. I go, you guys are doing A/B testing. He goes, yeah, we do A/B testing. I know. They're not the only ones. I mean, guess what? They're listening to you right now. And, they decide to do these different things, and they offer them up based off of your searching and all that. And then they'll do some A/B testing literally live, and then it'll change. It might just go back to the way it used to be all of a sudden, right? Right, Dylan? That happens? Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, yeah, I wanted to pause on that a little bit, because A/B testing isn't just, you probably, again, never even heard of it, but it happens live. Like these big companies do it live right there in your face, and you don't even know it. You're like, what the hell's going on here? And they're just doing A/B testing. All right. Pause. Let me see here. What's next? Oh, yeah. We're going to pause. Yeah, because it's 3 o'clock. We got 1 hour left. And we're going to take a break. Before we take a break, got any big questions before we move on? No? Nothing?
I kind of had one for you.
Okay, go for it, Carl. Thanks.
Okay. So at what point does like the scope and defining the scope of your work come in? So we just looked at the timeline of the process. It started with discover and it went all the way up through optimize. Um, like at what point do you like punch in, for lack of a better, like what time do you clock in and like where do you clock in and start getting paid? Is it before you even start the discover, or like, and do you do the scope before that, or like when do your hours
Great
start?
question.
Yeah.
You got multiple questions in that question.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm curious.
Well, actually, let me, because I think it's humorous, it's entertaining. The question that you asked, when do you start getting paid? When do you start clocking in?
Yeah. Tracking your hours is, I guess, like, would you,
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, you will hear from creatives that, one, they clocked in the moment that they heard about it. Mentally, they clocked in. They're already thinking about it.
So
I
are
know
they
I do.
charging their, like, if they have an hourly rate, would they be charging that to think
Well,
about the
I
project?
mean, I'm gonna be funny, but if you're driving down the road, you're going to see your mom and you're thinking about the project. I mean, yeah, technically you could charge for that time, but you might not. But it's a weird world that we commit ourselves to be a creative. Now I'm gonna talk in big terms, right? You're commit as a designer, you're kind of ruining your life in a way. And I say this because when you commit to being a designer and you end up being a designer, uh-oh, my dog might come in here. Sorry, she's trying to open the door. Um, when you've committed to being a designer, you look at the world, yes, right. You end up looking at the world and observing the world in a different way now. It changes your whole perspective in your life. I mean, you look at a damn stop sign and you go, that's horrible kerning on that stop sign, right? I hate that font I gotta look at. Or like, you look at a book or you just start looking at the world in a different way. So then you're always on. So you can't necessarily like really clock in a way. But you can. So I wanted to kind of touch on that because that's a philosophical answer. I've been having this mindset now, right? Ezekiel, right? Just saying with Emily, she goes, work brain is always on. It's hard to turn it off. It literally is very difficult to turn your creative brain off. So to answer your question, it's hard to really sometimes monitor when you're clocking in. So then you have to kind of put it, that's why you got to really think through like your scope and your time and effort, because that changes. Like sometimes you're not going to charge I'm not charging Krista, and I'm telling you about the same as I would charge John over here that works at a big agency that I know is real kind of a pain in the ass. And he likes to nitpick and he likes to change things at the last minute. And you know what I mean? So I have to learn how to adjust all of this stuff based off of variables. And it's all based off of variables. And you have to you'll get better at it and you'll get experience, but you start doing that more. It could be day one, it could be the first conversation, or it could be the first email that you're now going, okay, I'm analyzing, I'm creating variables based off of how I'm going to scope this and how I'm going to price this. Does that kind of answer your question of questions?
it helps.
I know there really isn't a true answer to it.
Right. It wasn't a great like specific
No, it
question.
is.
So
It is. It's kind of it's a question that doesn't really have a defined answer. And that's okay. I'm not here to answer every question that you have. Sometimes I'm here to make you think because there really isn't always an answer to your question. Just the way it is. Very Black Mirror of me, isn't it? Wow. All right. It's 3:05. We're going to take a 15-minute break. We're going to be back at 3:20 and we're going to go through our whoops, wrong screen. We're going to go through assignments, okay? 3:20. See you in a little bit. I'm going to turn off my camera. Talk to you a little bit. Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. Give me 1 second here. Yeah. Get rid of that. Just have to reorganize my stuff here. So, one thing I did while I was taking a break here is I posted on Canvas in your announcement. I put let's see here. It says persona examples. So if you end up going to your Canvas, go to announcements. I posted a PDF and I combined the Mazda personas with the Mall of America personas all in one document. Should be rather useful. Yeah. Oops. Let's see. There you go. You can see my screen here, right? You can see that. So, blah, blah, blah. Come on. Oh boy. You can see all of these very in-depth personas. And then, yeah, the Mall of America ones. The super shopper. The super shopper. The fanatics. The destination drivers, the reluctants. What kind of shopper are you? Have you asked yourself that today? What kind of shopper are you? Too funny. Anyways, fanatic for sure. Yeah. The first one is funny. Yeah. All right. Let's get into our assignment because we got half an hour. All right. So we know this project is the corporate website redesign. We already read through this in the first lecture, so I don't really need to read through this right now. The first assignment was to choose 2 corporate companies. And for today, decide on one of those. So then we can move forward with the rest of the project. And then you can start your creative questionnaire. So your next assignment is to start your creative questionnaire for the company. So I'm going to try to do this. I think we're going to try something, okay? I've never done this before, so we're all going to learn. Let's see. Zoom has breakout rooms. Let me see if we can do this.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
I used to have a job where I used Zoom a lot and I put people in breakout rooms constantly. So if you need any
Can
help
you
with
do
that,
it then? Are you able to do it?
I don't
'Cause
think I
I've
can do it from
done-
here as a participant though.
Oh, you can't. Okay, so here, look. Can you see that? Can you see that pop-up breakout room window?
Not really.
Okay, it's not sharing the Zoom stuff. That's what. So it gives me an option to assign automatically, which I think I might just do that. Just let it just pick automatically for now. And that'll probably be the easiest, right, Carl?
Yeah, otherwise you just have to manually like click us into the groups that you want us to be in.
Yeah, I don't want that right now just because that's too difficult. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose 5 breakout rooms and I'm going to let it do it automatically. And we're going to have, this is new, this is just, we're just going to try it. It is almost 3:30. We're going to take 15 minutes. Yeah, we're going to take 15 minutes to do a breakout room. And I want everybody at the end of 15 minutes to decide which company you chose and how you're moving forward with it with your breakout room. Does that make sense? All right. You got your two. You're going to have a breakout room and you're going to decide which company you're going to move forward. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Breakout rooms not started. Open all rooms. Is that what I do?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Joshua, you had your hand up before I
Yeah,
do.
so are we all choosing one company as a team? Or is it just
No,
for
you have your
individual?
own individual company, but you're just working as a team to decide on which one.
Oh, okay.
So you like, let's say you have Rolex and Casio. You're going to
Hmm.
decide which one you're going to move forward with.
Oh, okay.
Right, as a team. So you're just working together to decide.
Gotcha.
Carl, it's given me the option to say it's automatically chosen all of them. And it says open all rooms. So is that what I select?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm gonna do. Get ready. 15 minutes. We'll come back together at 3:45. Okay. Is it working? Yeah, it is. Boom, 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 boom. And okay. Let's see. I think let's see what's going on. Boom, boom, boom. Cool.
Yeah,
I'm
so
looking at it right now, and this is pretty, yeah,
I
this is
love
pretty
it.
rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but I don't know. Like, this wasn't in one of the industries that he like
Hmm.
listed out. Oh, hi, Professor.
Hey guys, I'm
Hi.
just jumping between the rooms. This is
Cool.
new, so we're just
All
trying
good.
something new.
Okay. Yeah.
Of
I
course.
just posted one of my options in our chat, but I was just telling them that this is a local sandwich shop near my house, and they have a um really bad website.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not a lot to work with. So I feel like this would be like probably a wider scope project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so that would be like in the food industry. And then another option I thought of is another local company in San Diego. They're called Bright Event Rentals. So they basically provide um, rental equipment for like parties or like events. And their website isn't bad. I just feel like it could be better with like maybe with more like information and having their call to actions more clear for the user. I kind of feel like the images are kind of like in your face a little bit and it's a little bit overwhelming with all of the colors. So I feel like I could make it like a bit more like concise and then make it easier for the users to know like what company this is, what they offer, and what is the call to action that they want them to bring them to. So yeah, those are my two options that I'm thinking of right now.
I feel like rentals fall under e-commerce, and I don't think that's what he wants us to do right now.
Uh, I see. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I don't think
Me
you don't want
personally.
to
Oh,
tackle
sorry.
e-commerce first, let me tell you. It's awful.
Me personally, I'd say go for the center shop. That one really
Yeah.
needs some touch-ups for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
I agree. Definitely,
Yeah.
it's smaller.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds
Good.
good. Yeah, and they're like by my house too, so I feel like I could actually make friends with these people. And I also do a little bit of photography, so if they need me to like take any like images of their like food.
Don't be afraid to maybe work a little trade in there.
Hmm.
uh,
Maybe get a
for
discount for
sure.
life.
Yeah, free sandwiches for life.
Yeah,
That's good for me.
absolutely.
No, it won't bomb me. Damn it. All right, I'll go then. Bear with me.
Take your time.
I have to type it in on a stupid iPad. Nope, that's not how you spell it. Looking there. Yeah. So it's just like super bland. And if you click on the drop down for project experience, like there's text going outside the box and way too much text. And then
Check this out.
the other one. Granite construction. Just the longest. Oh my God. What do you want, Gary? I'm literally at work. What? About what?
I thought we were just supposed to choose one. Again, I'm probably getting my classes confused too. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting that we have like both corporate website redesign
Hey guys,
or branding.
how's
Hi.
everyone?
Hello.
Getting through it?
We couldn't figure out how to screen share.
Yeah, I think you might have to enable it.
Is it that way? Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, these breakout rooms sometimes are multiple, boom, boom, boom. Hopefully that helps.
okay. Oh God, now you have to put things in here. What, you just
Has
doing
anybody
text?
decided on one of their companies yet?
Melinda's going to do Expressions Dental.
Okay, dental company, great. Anybody else?
That's as
She was
far as we've
ex
gotten so far.
Okay.
Dylan, why don't you go?
Okay. Um, I found a few tech startups. Um, uh, One of them is called Partyful, which is a event planning site.
Mhm.
And I just thought it was like the website looks so dark, kind of
Mhm.
like dark mode on on a music streaming platform or something like that. And I was like, that's not probably what they're going for. It's weird. Because mostly it's like birthday parties and stuff. I'm like, that's usually like happy kind of, brighter situation. So I was like, it's a little weird. And then there was they technically changed their name, but they also kind of haven't yet. It's like Algo Trader, or also called Widen. I don't know if they've figured out which one they're going with yet, but both exist on when I look them up. So they're a digital trading banking company. They use like AI to do that kind of stuff. I was like, okay. And on their website, it's very like mysterious and kind of, it doesn't seem as trustworthy as I would appreciate with something dealing with money, Just like it's a little weird. And also their layout on their website, all the sections are really, really short. So it doesn't matter how fast or slow you scroll through it. It's like everything's flashing by. You can't really get to anything easily. So it's just kind of set up weird. Yeah.
Is Partiful Partiful?
Yes.
Okay. And then what was the other one again?
Algo Trader also goes by Widen. I think their website is algotraders.ai. So ALGO traders.
Which one are you gravitating towards more?
Probably the party one, most
Yeah.
likely.
Feel like you can make the most impact on that one?
Yeah.
Good.
I'd have to do a whole lot more
big.
research on the other one. So
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, everybody keep going. I'm jumping to another room. I'm room jumping. All right, later.
I know that he's super bad with, like, he's admittedly bad with websites and designs and kind of stuff. So like it would be kind of funny to like let him know that like I'm gonna rework his website, and then that would just like I said, because I know him personally, if you click on that, like you can't click on anything, like it's just like pictures, and it would be kind of fun to rework it. And then this was the Kobe swap meet, which I used to go to a bunch as a kid. And if you click on it, like the logo's kind of cool in like a weird way, but I don't know, it could definitely be redone. And I think the website's kind of, it's almost kind of cool how bad it is, in my opinion. But it would be fun to like give that same like to blend nostalgia with like reintroducing it to like maybe millennials and Gen Zers who don't even maybe really know that it's there every weekend. So I'm kind of leaning more towards the Kobe swap,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun one.
Oh. Yeah, like a brand refresh, I think would be kind of a unique take to those audiences you were talking about. And like
Yeah.
it's still kind of keeping the kind of like the aesthetic it has, like you were saying, like it's bad, but like it's like good, bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like it would be interesting to like.
Hello.
Hey, I'm just jumping between the rooms, saying hi. How's it going over here?
Good. We picked our websites.
Oh,
So
good. Wow. You were doing a lot better than the other rooms. Most of the other rooms, they've only gotten through like one person. Gotcha. Okay, well, good. Well, then I'm just going to go ahead and hop to the next room because we're going to be wrapping this up here soon. So we'll just get to know each other then.
Okay.
All right, later.
Visually unappealing, but I think it works good for itself, the website.
Yeah, I agree.
How's everything going over here?
Perfect.
Good.
Great.
I'm just jumping around. It's kind of fun, this breakout room thing. I think I like it.
Yeah,
Has
I was.
everybody decided on the company? You did?
Yes.
Good. Okay, well, that's great. So the other room did too. So I think most people have, yeah, decided. So I'm probably going to end this here in just a couple of minutes. Okay.
Okay. I
All
just want to
right.
know that I just came into the class today, so I didn't have any of the corporate stuff ready, but
Do you
they
have any ideas?
no, so that's what I'm kind of looking up right now in the 15 minutes that we're away, but
Good, good.
I'll
Okay,
have
well,
it on.
your team here, I know you haven't been assigned a team, which I'll end up doing that. But yeah, definitely lean on your team to help you out if you got any questions. And yeah, just do what you can.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Good word.
All right, we're getting back into the swing of things here. Well, I guess is everybody here? Kind of looks like it. That actually was kind of fun. My first time doing the breakout rooms. If you were not able to kind of come to a conclusion of your company, definitely do that before you start your creative questionnaire. Let me go ahead and share my screen because that is the next assignment. Okay. So give me a second here. Let me just move some stuff around. Excuse me there. Okay. Everybody see my screen again? Yeah, okay. So like I said, you didn't get a chance to finalize it. Just make sure you get it done so you can move on to the next assignment, which is assignment 2, and that's the creative questionnaire. So the creative questionnaire must be filled out thoughtfully, as if you were the client, and be free of spelling and grammatical errors. It should outline the project's goals, target audience, key messages, and specific requirements or preferences of the client. So here's a screenshot of the creative questionnaire. So yeah, whatever company you end up choosing, put it right there. Remember, I said, and that's I mentioned it to the first class. So for everybody that's new, on the canvas, let's see, where is it at? Teams, module. I put the creative questionnaire somewhere. Still getting used. Yeah, there it is. It was under modules, under resources, and it's a Figma file. So for the new people, you must duplicate. Yes, Carolyn.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt in the middle of your
Oh
explanation. I
no,
can.
it's okay. I told you you could. No worries.
Is there a certain size company that we should be working on? Is there a guideline as far as size of company?
Well, I mean, that was the one thing we kind of talked about. Don't want to bite off more than you can chew in a way. So, we had talked about kind of keeping it to sort of a mid-level to small level style client, something that doesn't require like a lot of content development or a lot of content change. So trying to keep it like, I mean, within that, or, it's okay to do like a little mom and pop place.
Okay.
I forgot somebody, was in one of the rooms and they said that they're gonna do a sandwich shop. I think was it
Okay.
Jeanette? You said you're gonna do it your local sandwich shop, which
Yeah,
she's
that's me.
trade and get some free sandwiches for life.
Okay. Well, I was also trying to consider if I could finagle a trade in here somewhere. And then my other question is do we need to run it by you before we go too far and then have you go like, no, I think we need to shift? Like, so we don't make a mistake, you know what I mean? If we think
Sure. I'll put it this way. I'm not gonna require it, but I'm gonna have to leave it up to you to make your best judgment. If you want to run it by me to get my opinion on it before you move on, go for it. Not a problem at all. So you're more than willing, or yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Free to run it by me. So for the new people, just like I was mentioning, this is a Figma file and you must duplicate the Figma file. So you're working on your own file, not editing the master. And if you have any questions about that, just hit me up or ask your team. And the teams, was in the assignment, no, it wasn't. Announcements. So the teams are in the announcements under teams. So let's go back to this creative questionnaire real quick. You want to make sure that you fill out the company name, put in the company website. Make sure you spend time thinking about what is the business category. What are the primary goals of the website? Those primary goals can generate leads, provide information, showcase product services, build brand awareness. What specific problems or pain points is your client website not addressing? What are the most important things that need to be highlighted on the website? What is your unique value proposition? Who is their target audience? What tone or style should the company website convey? What is the most important action you want visitors to take on your website? What emotional response do you want visitors to have when they visit your website? Now, I'm saying this just because this is just one of those things. I'm not saying that you might think this, but you never know. Like this creative questionnaire can be multiple pages. Don't think that you're just trying to jam everything on one page. Okay. This should be multiple pages. Spend time, be as thorough as you possibly can to answer these questions because it's going to help you in the long run to be successful. It's just one of those things that, you never know. All right. Any questions on the creative questionnaire before I move on? No? Cool. And again, you can always email me if you have questions. I really do my best to be as prompt as possible with my email responses. All right, cool. Assignment 2. Next week, next Monday, we're going to do a lecture recap on everything that we've been talking about because there is no real lecture. We're just going to do a recap. And what is due is your creative questionnaire. So we're going to spend most of our time having breakout into the teams and going through your creative questionnaire and getting feedback from your teams on your creative questionnaire. So we're going to spend probably a good hour on that because I have a feeling we're going to need probably a solid hour of team time going through the creative questionnaires. Here's just something I'm going to implement. We're going to need a timekeeper in these teams because I know that you get excited. And I know I ramble. We all have a tendency to kind of ramble a little bit. So we're going to need somebody, and I'm going to help me remind about this. In each team, we're going to need a timekeeper, and we're going to have to kind of stick to the time. If let's say, you got 5 people in a team, 5 divided by 1 whole hour, We just need to make sure we do the math and we respect the time. So make sure that everybody has at least like 10 minutes to go through their creative questionnaire. And respect the time, please. And then the next assignment, and we'll go through that assignment next class, is going to be the website audit and competitor analysis. Sound good? I think it sounds good. I think it sounds great. Oh, for you new people here, real quick. This is how you do your, I think your thing. Oh, here it is. Yeah. You click on this down arrow right here. You see that? And go down to duplicate. And you duplicate this. Oh, and I also had talked about whiteboards last time. So, might not necessarily need it at this point because we're just kind of talking through creative questionnaire. But when we start getting into kind of these real kind of rolling up our sleeves and getting through like sketches and wireframing and research and all this stuff, you're gonna probably want to create these whiteboards for your projects and share them. Okay? It becomes very, very useful to be able to collect your thoughts in your research. And you can create those whiteboards in Figma just by literally kind of going to your home, create Fig or Fig Jamboard. That's what they call them. Okay. So I recommend you use those. Yeah. So we're not going to want to watch this, but I like videos to help kind of reinforce philosophies in discussions. And I like these videos. These are all about making things by hand. And as a creative, I spend so much time, like we spend so much time on our phones and in front of the computer that I personally, I love making things by hand. It helps me kind of get away from the digital world and kind of doing stuff. And so I like to share videos about people that make things with their hands, these kind of crafts, because there's a lot of lessons that you can learn, just in their philosophies and how they do things. And it can hopefully inspire you, even in this digital world that we live in, to know when to step away from the digital world and take a breath and interact with real people. Go grab a coffee with a friend, make something that you've never made. This is my first knife right here. I'm teaching myself how to make knives, and it is so much fun. I took a file in my garage and I literally shaped it now, and I handmade this, and I just think it's important to know how to make things by hand. So yeah, you'll see a lot of videos that I like to share about stuff like that because it's just so important to step away. Design. It's not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. And that couldn't have been said any better by the iPhone, Apple master Steve Jobs. And I believe there's another quote he said that I always stuck with me. I don't always agree with this, but I still think it's a good one. Good design should be invisible. Good tech should be invisible. It should just be there. It should be just effortless. And that's what makes it good design and good development, is when you don't fumble with the design. You don't fumble with the technology and the usability, because good design shouldn't be difficult to use and see. That's why that Eames chair, like, it's just you actually can sit in it, and it's comfortable, but it's beautiful and everything. So, good design should be effortless and should just be there. Also, in the quote, in the words of Candace Lopez, does everybody know who Candace Lopez is? Yeah? Yeah? I would hope so. Candace, when I took her class, 1996, no, 1995. I think I took my first class in 1995 with her. When she had her retirement event, I was really honored to be able to contribute to her book. And it was this book that Sean and them created for her. And I think it was mostly alumni that added something to this book. And whenever I was thinking about it, I was like, oh man, like, wow, Candace is so prolific, right? I sometimes I can't talk about it too much because it like emotionally, she's like my mom. Like, I say this with all like honesty. She is such a significant figure in my life. She changed the course of my life. And I thank her so much that I've had such a successful career because I stumbled across her course. And she said one thing that always kind of stuck with me, and I put it in the book, and it applies to what we do, is good design wraps around. And she didn't realize, I think when she said it back in the day in 1995, she was just kind of referring to sort of a book or a magazine or a product, right? Just a product. But what she said was so kind of like it transcended time for me, because what it really meant was good design crosses boundaries, and good design is a part of everything when you interact with it. So whether it's a website or a mobile app or a book cover or a magazine or a good product that you're picking up and using, good design wraps around. It's a part of the whole experience. And so that quote was just such a powerful quote for me that I have literally applied in my entire career, that Candace said. And I literally, I just love Candace. She's just such an amazing person, and she's touched so many people's lives. And that's the reason why I decided to teach, because I kind of told myself, I'm like, we have a responsibility, and we have a responsibility to share what we know and what we experience. And I think that it really is sort of an honor to be able to always kind of teach at City, and to be able to teach next to Sean and Bradford and all the other talent, but also especially teach next to Candace, because she literally, has changed so many people's lives, and she definitely changed mine. Who knows what the hell I would have been doing in San Diego if I didn't stumble across, the design program. So maybe someday there will be something you might quote from me. I don't know. I'd be so lucky. But I hope everybody's enjoying the class. This was class 2, the end of class 2, or sorry, day 2. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and that I encourage everybody to reach out to each other, help each other out, be kind to each other. Don't be shy. It's a long course. I want people to get to know each other and really thrive and enjoy what you're doing. Okay? So thank you. I appreciate it. And we're going to end it a couple of minutes early, unless somebody has a question.
Real quick, how are you like, are we gonna just like message people on Canvas to like talk to the groups or
Yeah, I think as far as if you can you do that? Is that
like, because I have no idea how to set up whiteboards and share it to people that I have no contact info on.
sure?
I don't get it.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send out a group email after this with the teams because I gotta update the teams. I know there's a couple other new people, so I need to know who's new. And so I'm gonna update the teams list and I'm gonna send a class email. So everybody's email should be visible, right? Think so.
Think so.
Yeah, I think so. So I think that's how we can do it, is then you can email each other and go ahead and like be proactive. That's another thing. Be proactive, help each other out, and try to like pull each other together and get the teams together maybe on an email list. And yeah, just again, try to be proactive and helping each other out to be able to get this started. What do you think? Joshua, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna mention, Carl mentioned you can also message your classmates on Canvas directly. And if you don't want to message them directly, you can also use Pronto, which is on Canvas, which is just like a messaging app that you can just type in the box, just Spring 2025 TSGN 143, type in a message, or you can add someone that's in the class.
Awesome. That's great.
You
Thank
can
you.
also send private messages in the chat in Zoom right now.
Yeah, you can do that too. I see. There you
Yeah,
go.
while
I
the
see
room's
two of
open.
them popping up. I didn't have the chat open, so um, that is not a sashimi knife, unfortunately, not yet. I don't know what kind of knife this is, man.
As Josh said, it looks like a Tanto. It has
No
a
idea.
very
It's just
stripped
my
edge.
first knife. That's all it is.
It's a really clean knife.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just, yeah. But anyways, yeah, thank you so much. Please, like for whoever knows kind of how this works a little bit more. I'm still learning because this is all like this Canvas thing is a little bit new to me. So if there's something that you might suggest that would be helpful, please suggest it. Don't be shy, send it to me, and yeah, the more we kind of move along, we'll get better and better at this, okay? Cool. All right. So yes, the questionnaire is due next Monday. Yes, your questionnaire is due next Monday. Be ready to share it with the group. And I think the questionnaire is like 2 points or something like that. I don't know, but I'm not a points person. I'm really not. If you are, then you can hit me up. I know some students want to know the tally of their grade literally throughout the whole thing. And I'll do my best, but I'm not like, I usually kind of wait till each one's done to tally up grades. But yeah, so yes, the questionnaire is due next Monday. All right. I think that's that for today. Thank you. And enjoy your weekend and work hard and enjoy yourself. All right. Bye-bye.